You're watching ABC10 Plus Tonight.
Hello, I'm Laura Painter. You're watching ABC10 Plus Tonight. We're getting the latest on the bird flu in California. And good news, it looks like bird flu is starting to slow down in animals. Plus, with tariffs going into effect with Canada, a look at how this is impacting Northern California's wine industry. Then, in dollars and cents, Congress is pushing to cap credit card interest rates at 10%, which could dramatically reduce debt for Americans. ABC 10 Plus Tonight starts right now. The Senate Agriculture and Health Committees met today to discuss the state's response to bird flu and what can be done next. ABC 10's Devin Truby listened in and joins us now with the update. Devin.
Laura, officials say it looks like bird flu is starting to slow down in animals, but with spring migration starting soon, the committee wants to figure out what's next.
It's August 2024. More than 750 California dairies have tested positive for bird flu and were quarantined. Around 400 remain under quarantine now, and all dairies are under surveillance. As for poultry, nearly 80 flocks have tested positive, mostly on farms.
Price of eggs, why did it go up? Because this has been the worst outbreak this country has ever seen.
State veterinarian Dr. Jones says the state needs to increase biosecurity and continue testing because the virus can mutate.
So if vaccine works and it's approved, that's definitely something that we'd like to look at for dairy cows. There's a lot of things we don't know if that's the path forward at this point, but it's something we want to keep on the radar. Poultry, the way we reduce the virus load is rapid euthanasia, so that will probably have to continue, or unless there's a vaccine for them.
As far as bird flu in people, Dr. Erica Pan, the new director of the California Department of Public Health, shared actions they've taken.
29,000 flu A samples in this last year since this has occurred. We did identify 2 bird flu infections in children.
Still no evidence of human-to-human spread, and there's been no animal-to-human cases since mid-January.
Free COVID and flu testing for community members in the areas that are impacted who have flu symptoms, and then also add that H5 testing to that.
A new tool from the pandemic, wastewater, can now be tested for bird flu. The state looks at U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins' announcement last week, providing $1 billion to fight bird flu, $500 million to biosecurity, $400 million in financial relief to farmers, and $100 million for vaccine research. But there are concerns over the federal government's role after accidentally firing staff working on bird flu.
This administration is hollowing out the federal expertise needed to fight the avian flu. So California needs to do even more.
Right now, close to 40 different studies are happening in California to understand bird flu, and the state also hopes to add another laboratory in Turlock by 2026. Laura.
All right, Devin Truby reporting for us tonight. Thank you. Canada, in particular, has announced 25% tariffs on U.S. goods, including California's agricultural products like wine. In some provinces, liquor stores are removing boxes of California wine from their shelves. ABC 10's Luke Clary reports on how the local wine industry is responding.
Every year, farmers go into business with a long list of uncertainties, like how much rain are you going to get or how much sunshine? And now you can add U.S. tariff policy to that list. California vineyards produce billions of dollars of wine that end up on shelves all over the world. But in Canada, many liquor stores are removing California wine by the box.
As a producer, it's hard. We don't want to see our wine come off the shelf.
Joan Couch says the trade war has created uncertainty for Ironstone Vineyards operating in Lodi in Calaveras County. She says her business is taking it day by day, as about 10% of Ironstone's exports go to Canada, which just slapped 25% retaliatory tariffs on U.S. products, like wine. Quebec and Ontario provinces have ordered U.S. liquors removed from shelves altogether.
This is hopefully something that's short term and we get through it and then we can get back to business.
Canada is the single most important export market for U.S. wines, according to the Wine Institute, with retail sales of $1.1 billion annually. And this retaliation comes at a time when California wineries are already struggling, according to San Joaquin County Farm Bureau Executive Director Andrew Genesi.
It really is all important. We grow enough grapes and there's so much wine coming out of this area in California, we have to export, right? It's not, domestic consumption can't keep up with our production.
He says it's just one more layer of uncertainty in the agriculture industry.
I'll say it again, take it day by day, hour by hour.
For now, California winemakers are left in a swirl of uncertainty, hoping this trade dispute doesn't leave a bitter finish. In Lodi, Luke Clary, ABC 10.
Now, following President Trump's address last night, our local congressional members are now reacting to some of the things that were said. Democratic Congressman Ami Bera tells ABC 10 that he decided last minute to actually not go to the address, instead choosing to watch it on TV. Bera says that he disagreed with how some of his Democratic colleagues reacted during the address, but believes Trump's address only created further division without any signs of bipartisanship. While he agrees with trying to cut waste, Bera says some of President Trump's claims were far from true, especially surrounding Social Security spending.
I don't think we're writing Social Security checks at 300-year-olds. I mean, that was disproven by many of the media outlets that were fact-checking. That said, can we improve Social Security? Should we work together in a bipartisan way to strengthen it and make sure it's there for our kids and grandkids? 100%.
And we also spoke to Republican Congressman Doug LaMaffa. He tells ABC 10 that he believes inflation is tied to energy costs and wasteful government spending. He believes tariffs will ultimately benefit the U.S. with more American-made products that will alleviate the cost for Americans. And cameras caught this moment that you're looking at right now. LaMaffa shook Trump's hand, asking him a question, with Trump responding, quote, "I'll do it, just give me the information." LaMaffa shared with ABC 10 what he asked the president.
Northern California water and the needs we have to address storage and also the removal of more dams.
And both congressmen say they have faith in continuing to work together productively between both parties. The Trump administration is looking to sell off hundreds of federal buildings and facilities all over the nation to cut some costs, and 6 of them are right here in the Sacramento area. ABC 10's Becca Habegger shows us which buildings could hit the market and also asks what this could mean for our local economy, too.
On Tuesday, the U.S. General Services Administration, or GSA, dropped a surprising list of more than 400 federal buildings and facilities across the country, calling them not core to government operations or non-core properties. An accompanying news release from the GSA said it plans to dispose of non-core assets to ensure taxpayers no longer pay for empty and underutilized federal office space or the significant maintenance costs associated with long-term building ownership, potentially saving more than $430 million in annual operating costs. On Wednesday, the list of properties had been removed from the GSA's website, now saying coming soon. But we can see the original list using the Internet Archive site, the Wayback Machine. On it are 6 properties in Sacramento: the John E. Moss Federal Building at 650 Capitol Mall, the Federal Building at 801 I Street, adjacent to Sacramento City Hall and across from Cesar Chavez Park, out in Arden Arcade, the Federal Building at 2800 Cottage Way, and 3 others whose locations are not specified, listed as Child Care Center, Federal Building Shop, and GSA Modular Building. We asked GSA how many employees work in each building, but did not hear back by deadline. News that this federal building on Capitol Mall, as well as the one on I Street, could go up for sale, possibly displacing those employees, comes as Governor Gavin Newsom is trying to bring more workers back to the downtown urban core. As ABC 10 reported, on Monday, Newsom issued an executive order requiring most state employees to return to in-person work 4 days a week starting July 1st. One reason Newsom made this decision was to inject more life and money into downtown Sacramento, as businesses have been struggling since the pandemic sent state workers home. So what kind of an impact could selling these federal buildings have on the local economy? ABC 10 asked the Downtown Sacramento Partnership and City of Sacramento, both of which declined to comment.
And I want to go ahead and bring in Becca Habegger. She has been following this story for us. And we know that some federal properties, of course, will also not be sold, right?
Yeah, the GSA's news release said very explicitly buildings and facilities such as federal courthouses, land ports of entry, and other properties critical to national defense and law enforcement will not be sold. Now, Alex, altogether, the list published yesterday shows 16 federal properties in California, 6 here in the Sacramento area, 3 in the Bay Area, and the rest in Southern California. Now, we asked the GSA if many more properties will be added and when they anticipate putting these buildings on the market. They did not respond to our request today, Alex.
All right, Becca, thank you for bringing this update. We appreciate it.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents, Americans are drowning in credit card debt. Now there's a new push in Congress to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. An expert I talked with says if this becomes a reality, it could be life-changing for millions of people.
This would set families free.
Americans are drowning in credit card debt, averaging more than $1 trillion total, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Credit card debt is the highest that it's ever been in the United States.
Financial coach Maureen Paley says high interest rates are making tackling that debt even harder. As I've reported in prior dollars and cents coverage, some credit card companies are charging more than 35%.
There are plenty of consumer advocates saying that these interest rates are too high.
That's why there's a new bipartisan push in Congress led by Democrat Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri.
The difference between a 29.99% APR and a 10% APR is huge. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Years of being indebted can be wiped away. This would be a huge gain for consumers.
Paley says, keep in mind, different credit cards work in different ways. Some have a fixed annual percentage rate, meaning an interest rate that doesn't change over the life of the loan, while others have a variable annual percentage rate, which means the rate can change over time. Paley says when the Federal Reserve raised rates, that also raised the interest rate for people with variable APR credit cards.
For some of us who may have gone into that credit card agreement several years ago when rates were low, when the Federal Reserve raised them, it was like sticker shock when you got your bill.
Paley also says inflation plays a role in how people use their credit cards.
In an inflationary environment, the $100 I use at the grocery store, when I go to the grocery store, all of a sudden I can't get all the items I used to get with that $100. So folks have been relying on credit cards, to make up for that shortfall.
As a result, Paley says people's credit card balances are growing and debt is lingering.
Do you have any advice for viewers to help them manage their credit card debt?
Look at all the specifics around the debt. So you want to list the credit cards that you have. You want to identify what your balances are currently. You want to identify what the APR interest rate that you're paying is.
And remember, credit cards are a type of loan, and the interest is where card companies make money. Experts say you can avoid paying interest by stop using your credit cards altogether or by paying your credit card balance in full every month. You also might start with paying one card off first. You can also use an interest rate calculator to understand how that debt amount is going to grow over time, to really see what's at stake with the purchases you make. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. You can find all of my dollars and cents stories streaming now on the ABC10 Plus TV streaming app. The app is free to download on your TV. You can also email me your questions at lpainter@abc10.com. A local volunteer organization is alerting people about the massive amount of needles they are finding in and along Sacramento waterways. The River City Waterway Alliance showed ABC10 a photo of more than 19,000 needles they removed in the past 2 years. Tonight, ABC10's Roxana Elias tells us why they're worried.
The trash alone is one problem, but having hypodermic needles in our waterways is a much bigger problem to the public.
David Ingram is a co-founder of the River City Waterway Alliance. The organization prides itself on cleaning up trash in and around the American River, Steelhead Creek, and Arcade Creek. But most recently, it's been this photo, displaying water jugs filled with thousands of needles they have collected in the past 2 years.
We just started our 17th jug, so we have 16 full jugs. I sent you a picture of 15 of those in a pyramid. We've removed over 19,000 needles. Each jug holds about 1,200, and we count them and safely store them.
Ingram says their volunteers find them around homeless camps and downstream from camps, which is the most concerning. Here by Steelhead Creek, they say the hazard can be close to Discovery Park, where many families can be unsuspecting.
Who wants to take their family to a park and find needles? It's terrible for wildlife. It's terrible for pets. You know, we don't want anybody to have an accidental needle stick.
And in just one day alone, Kathleen Ford and other volunteers can find.
So this is our finding just from today. This bin here, there are, I don't know, hundreds of needles in there one day.
The co-founders say they believe the problem stems from needle exchange programs that are instead just giving needles away.
We've seen literally boxes of needles dropped off at camps upstream here in Steelhead Creek without any exchange being required. And as a result, we end up with an abundance of used needles in our parkways and our waterways.
But they say the community deserves better.
What is currently in place is not working. We want to see an honest assessment and some real solutions.
In Sacramento, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
We reached out to Harm Reduction Services, which does needle exchanges in Sacramento. We are still waiting to hear back on how the program is working. Well, let's turn to your weather now. Just into our newsroom, take a look at this. Wow. I-80 westbound east of Cisco Grove is closed due to a big rig crash blocking lanes. Traffic is being diverted at the Rainbow Road off-ramp and back onto I-80 at Cisco Grove. Right now, at this time, there is no estimated time to reopen. But Brendan, this is really indicative of how slippery the conditions are up in the Sierra. What else are you seeing right now? I know it's changing by the minute.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. It's a very active radar. Snow up in the high country. We've got traffic issues. We've also got thunderstorms here in the valley as expected. I will add to that. So taking a look at the Interstate 80 camera here at the old ag station, you can see this is where traffic is really starting to back up. This is westbound traffic on Interstate 80. Donner Summit also visibility low up there at the moment. US 50, though, looking a lot better than Interstate 80 is at this moment in time. You see snow continues across the high country, but we're also keeping an eye on some thunderstorms right now. And this one in particular in northwest Colusa County, right over Sites, is the most interesting storm on the map at the moment. This is currently not severe warned, but there is what we call a special weather statement on it, just basically saying, hey, this is something to watch out for. There's frequent lightning with the storm, 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but you also see the hail core here in that pink color is fairly impressive at the moment on radar. So I'm going to go ahead and say penny-sized hails possible with this storm. That would be about 3/4 of an inch in terms of hail size. Now, it is in a pretty rural area. Again, it's over Sites at the moment, but it is pushing south towards Highway 20. Williams not quite in that polygon, but it will be on the east side of that storm here before too long. And just to put this into some perspective, there's still quite a ways to go before we're talking about this storm working into the Sacramento metro area. I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I'm just saying this is still well to the north of the Sacramento metro. But these thunderstorms were in the forecast. This is what we were talking about yesterday with that thunderstorm potential mainly in the upper Sacramento Valley. That is exactly what we've seen today. Tomorrow, that thunderstorm potential does actually spread south and cover the majority of the valley and spreads out to the coast as well. Very isolated, very pop-up thunderstorms like what we're seeing today and like what we saw on Sunday as well. Temperature-wise, we're in the middle 50s right now. 56 in Sacramento, 55 in Elk Grove, 53, Stockton 54, Modesto 41, Placerville 34. Up in Truckee through the rest of this evening, we'll keep some thunderstorm chances through about 6, 7 o'clock before that starts to taper off, and we'll have a mix of clear skies and clouds for the rest of the evening. Some light valley showers overnight tonight. Early Thursday morning, we'll be starting off in those low 40s. In the Big Mountain backyard, as we look at the forecast for tomorrow, some scattered showers early tomorrow morning in the valley, then mostly cloudy skies through about lunchtime, and then like today, we'll have just a little bit of clearing through parts of the afternoon. Not a lot of clearing, but just a little bit is expected. Once again, tomorrow, some isolated thunderstorms possible across the valley. Highs mid to upper 50s for many valley locations. As we look at Futurecast, you see those thunderstorms mainly hanging out in the mid to upper part of the Sacramento Valley, not quite so much in the metro area or down in the San Joaquin Valley, but snow continues overnight. Some light showers overnight near sunrise as well. Then we do see a little bit of that clearing in the San Joaquin Valley, a little bit through the afternoon on Thursday. Snow maybe starts to taper off a little bit, so conditions do improve, but we're going to keep that that weather impact alert for the winter weather up in the high country tomorrow for more snow, difficult travel, wintry roads, and chain controls. You can see how much more snow we're looking at here, a couple inches for the rest of today, and then tomorrow we'll add another 6 inches or so, bringing additional snowfall totals close to 6 to 8 inches for many locations. So the storm does start to taper off tomorrow. Then we are actually sunny on Friday. We're dry for much of the weekend. Set those clocks forward an hour on Sunday, but more active weather next week, Laura.
Sounds good, Brendan. Thank you.
Tonight we are featuring a home and support network for women as they overcome some difficult situations and thrive. City of Refuge is more than a shelter. As ABC 10's anchor Laura Painter shows us, it is changing lives in Oak Park, one family, one woman at a time.
It's more so been a home for me and my son. It's all that we've known for this whole year.
For Marianne Williams, finding a safe place to land has been full of challenges. But she's found comfort, encouragement, and community at City of Refuge, a nonprofit in Oak Park.
It's been a foundation for me. It's been a place where I could have refuge, a safe place. This has been a blessing. It's been a place where I could restore my peace of mind.
Marianne is one of the many women who found their footing and their strength at City of Refuge. Founded by husband-wife duo Rochelle and Lauren Ditmore, the organization seeks to return dignity, restore lives, and rebuild community.
My grandpa was a prison chaplain. I actually was the baby of someone who was incarcerated. And it's so interesting how our histories and our life's journeys take us on roads like unexpected.
Rochelle's life journey led to more than 2 decades of service in marginalized communities. She says City of Refuge has housed more than 700 women and children in the last 15 years. Seeing people for who they are, as human, not a checkbox, is key to Rochelle's compassionate approach.
Do you think seeing the person versus a category has made all the difference?
Absolutely. I don't see someone who sits in our rocking chair as unhoused. I see them as my neighbor.
Return, restore, rebuild. These are the 3 pillars of City of Refuge. Their model includes 2 phases. First is refuge housing that provides immediate relief and emergency shelter. And second is restorative housing, which focuses on leadership development, growth, and mentorship.
I want to live my life in such a way that continues to create simply an invitation and a road back home, because I think a road back home and a place of belonging is what we're all looking for.
And that's what City of Refuge has been for me, a place where you could bloom and blossom and plant into where you don't feel buried. Yeah, because it's a lot of darkness out there. It really is. And some of us don't have those tools that we're supposed to have.
Their front porch and their community center are places to gather, build friendships, and bond neighbors. They also offer dance and art classes to allow children to play and be creative.
When things are difficult and there's challenges, how do you overcome them, and how do you help the women overcome them as well?
Absolutely. I mean, number one, my faith. I just think it's so important that we have something that we believe in that's more than ourselves.
Rochelle says part of creating a welcoming space at City of Refuge is the space itself.
We don't have dirty couches, we don't have dirty walls, the way that it smells, the abundance of food, the farmhouse table, the colors in which we choose, and yet we can get a call at 2 a.m. and someone is welcome to come into our home.
Rochelle says they've responded to calls from women, including those who've escaped trafficking, survived domestic violence, or were living on the streets. No questions asked.
Because most programs out there, it's a whole lot of proving that you're homeless. You got to prove you're homeless. You have to prove I don't have any money. You have to prove all this and that. Well, I'm human. I need help. I want change. That's all I want. But I have to put that on paper. I have to go through all these loopholes just to do that. Here, I didn't have to do that. I just had to be a person who wanted better for me and my son.
Marianne tells me she now has permanent housing. She's moving into her own apartment soon.
Don't ever be afraid of the struggle, because when you show your vulnerability and openness, you don't know what doors it can open.
All right, bringing in Laura Painter now. Can you talk about where they get their funding, and also, how can people help if they want to?
Yeah, they tell me that their funding comes from public donations and grants. And if you'd like to help, you can volunteer and donate by going to their website, cityofrefugesac.com.
Yeah, and if you do want to learn more about them, make sure you go to our website. You can also learn more about the resources they have too. Laura, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Over 40 documentaries from all over the world will be shown this weekend in Rancho Cordova.
Pretty cool. It's part of the California Capital International Documentary Film Festival, and it's now in its 3rd year. Continues to see just incredible growth. ABC 10's Marcus Allen is live in Rancho Cordova outside of City Hall this morning with some of those filmmakers. Hey, Mark.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, this is a big deal, an internationally recognized and respected film festival in our own backyard. And my friend here knows something about international. You'll notice from the sound of his voice, he's from as far as Fresno. Charles, good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Mark.
So this really has grown. Talk about the humble beginnings and how many films, what we're talking about internationally.
So this is the 3rd year that we've done this film festival. We do it with... we couldn't do it without a grant from the city of Rancho Cordova, the CEIF grant, which is Community Enhancement Investment Fund grant. We have 42 films from 12 countries.
Truly amazing. And what are you most looking forward to this year?
The opening night film that we made ourselves from the office.
Yeah, it's great.
Carrie's.
Yeah, and we talk about, documentary film festivals usually try to inform and make the world a better place, and indeed your film does. I'm going to move over and introduce Carrie. Good morning, Carrie. So your title with the Food Locker locally is?
Executive Director.
Got it. And so when Charles said we would like to bring you into the film festival by representation and shooting a movie around it, you had to say, great.
We did. We were blown away. It's a wonderful opportunity to tell the story of food insecurity. Most people don't understand how it works or who's impacted, so he gave us an opportunity to do that.
And you've seen the film?
Many times.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And it's got to be, it warms your heart to know the message is getting out there told the right way.
It really does. I mean, they really took a lot of time, his team, to make this documentary, and they cared deeply about it, and it shows in the film.
Awesome. I can't wait for people to see it. And over here, Carlos, good morning. If you would, introduce yourself.
Carlos Olivas.
And not to be confusing, your dad is Carlos Jr. How does that work out that your dad is Junior, Carlos Jr., and you're not?
Well, I have took on the third as the last part to separate the difference.
Awesome. You and your dad are the subject of a really inspirational, informative, and at the same time heartbreaking documentary about Alzheimer's. And this is the story that you live.
Yeah. I'm a family caregiver, caring for my dad, living with Alzheimer's. And I could say he is flourishing creatively as an artist while declining.
Got it. Having seen the movie about your life, is it surreal seeing your story told that way?
Yeah, it's very surreal. It locks in the emotions that I was feeling at that time.
And I bet it gives strength too, because you're part of the story. You see other people going through the same thing, and so in order to, to see other people going through the same thing, it's got to give you some strength.
Yeah, it's supportive to see others who are going through the same type of journey.
Really amazing. All right, so throughout Northern California, venues are going to be transformed into screening rooms. I'm not used to being in a room like this without a judge and my attorney present. Charles, we're seeing a small screen back there. Truly, a giant screen comes in. State-of-the-art technology will be replacing that.
So we're in the city council chambers of Rancho Cordova City Hall. And if you were to come in Friday, behind me would be like a movie theater. You will not see behind. It's a gigantic screen.
Calibrated better than your local movie theater. A giant screen, 4K, the sound surrounding you, 10-point Atmos sound, which is the best available in any screening room. You'll be seeing it better than Spielberg sees his own films. Ooh. So this weekend, see it in person and then virtually after that, right?
And you can we have a website for tickets and information, and that's calcapdocfest.org.
We'll link that to abc10.com. Back to you.
All right, Mark, I found a cool picture of Charlie there with his cool hat on. Yeah, there he is. Where is he from originally?
So, good question. Where are you from originally? And just briefly talk about your offices.
So, I'm from London, England.
I guess Fresno I was from.
London,
so, Rafael and Jose and I, we run the Rancho Cordova Film Office, which is the official film office for the city of Rancho Cordova.
There you go. Thus, the California capital. Back to you.
All right, Mark, Charlie, and the group, thank you so much. Rancho Cordova taking center stage in the world of film.
Thanks so much for watching ABC 10 Plus Tonight. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Laura Painter. Take care. See you next time.
Trust isn't given, but earned. It's built every day by doing the hard work, putting in the hours, doing the research, holding the powerful accountable, and being there when you need us most. Working hard to earn your trust every day, every newscast, every story. Watch weeknights at 6 or stream live on ABC 10 Plus.